Mary came from a small village where life had always been hard. She was just 32 years old and a single mother of 3 young children. Ever since her husband had abandoned the family years ago, Mary had struggled to provide for everyone on her own. They lived in a tiny leaky shack in a crowded slum. Some days, Mary could barely afford enough food for her children. Still, she never stopped dreaming of a better future. She promised herself that one day she would lift her family out of poverty and give her kids the life they deserved. Every night, after tucking her little ones into bed, Mary would whisper prayers for a miracle. She dreamt of her children going to a good school, of her mother living in a proper house instead of a thin-roofed hut. Mary was determined and hard-working. She washed clothes for neighbors and sold fruit in the market. But it was never enough. The money she made disappeared fast and the bills kept piling up. Sometimes she felt hopeless, but the bright smiles of her children kept her going. She had to find a way to make their lives better. One fateful afternoon, Mary heard exciting news from a friend. This friend had a cousin who worked abroad and returned with enough money to build a new house. The friend said, "Mary, I met an agent who finds jobs for women overseas. He helped my cousin and now she's doing well. Maybe he can help you too." Mary's eyes lit up with interest. A job abroad? It sounded like the golden opportunity she had been praying for. When Mary met the agent in town, he painted a glowing picture of her future. "There is a wealthy family in Saudi Arabia," he explained, "and they need a housemaid. They will pay you very well, far more than you could ever earn here. You'll live in a beautiful home. Just do some cleaning and help with the children. They'll treat you like family." Mary could hardly believe what she was hearing. The salary he mentioned sounded enormous to her, enough to support her kids and even save money to start a small business. When she came back home, it felt as if a door to a new life was opening. Mary's mother was cautious. Late that evening, as Mary helped her mother prepare dinner over the little charcoal stove, her mother murmured, "I've heard stories about these jobs abroad. Not all of them are good. Are you sure about this, Mary?" Her mother's old, tired eyes searched Mary's face with worry. In the dim light of their shack, Mary hesitated. She had heard the stories too, whispers of girls who went abroad and came back in coffins, tales of cruel employers in foreign lands. A shiver ran down her spine at the thought. But then she imagined her children's hungry faces and the future she wanted for them. Taking a deep breath, Mary nodded. "Mama, this is our chance," she said softly, trying to sound brave. "I know some people had bad experiences, but my friend's cousin was fine. The agent said the family is kind. I can't let fear stop me. We need this." Her mother hugged her tightly. "Just be careful, my child," she whispered, her voice trembling. Mary promised she would, but inside she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She pushed the doubt away. This job could change everything. It felt like God was finally answering her prayers. Over the next 2 months, Mary worked with the agent to prepare all the documents she needed. It was a whirlwind of paperwork, training sessions, and trips to government offices for a passport and medical checks. Each step made it feel more real. She practiced a few words the agent taught her and learned about Saudi customs. With every passing day, Mary's excitement grew. She told her children about the adventure Mama was going to take. "I will go work in a big city called Riyadh," she explained, pointing to the location on an old map she found, "and I will send money so you can go to school and eat well. I will be back before you know it, and I will bring you presents." The kids didn't fully understand, but they hugged her and said they wanted her to come back soon. Her youngest gave her a ragged little doll to keep Mama safe on the journey. Mary smiled and fought back tears as she packed it in her bag. The day of departure arrived all too quickly. Mary stood at the airport with her small suitcase. It held a few clothes, a family photo, and all the hope she had for the future. She wore her best dress, a simple blue frock that was a bit worn but neat. Her children clung to her legs, not wanting to let go. Mary knelt down and kissed each one of them. "Be good for Grandma," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "Mama is going to make money for all of us. I will call as soon as I can, okay? I love you so much." The 2 younger ones were crying softly, and even her eldest, a boy just entering his teens, had eyes full of tears. Mary's mother placed a rough hand on her shoulder. "May God protect you, Mary," she said, holding back her own sobs. Mary nodded and gave her a tight hug, breathing in her mother's familiar scent of wood, smoke and warmth, trying to be strong. At last, Mary waved goodbye and stepped through the airport's gates. Her heart was pounding, a mix of sadness at leaving and hope for what lay ahead. She had never been on a plane before. As she found her seat and the engines roared to life, Mary felt butterflies in her stomach. When the airplane took off, she pressed her face to the window, watching her country shrink away below. The clouds looked like giant cotton balls. "This is it," she whispered to herself, clutching the armrest. "I'm really going. I'm going to make a better life for all of us." She didn't notice the single tear that rolled down her cheek, a tear for the home and family she was leaving behind, and perhaps a tear of joy for the new beginning she believed was coming. During the long flight, Mary allowed herself to daydream. She imagined arriving in a modern city full of light. She pictured a kindly employer welcoming her into their home, maybe a smiling mother and her children grateful for Mary's help. In her mind, the house was big and comfortable. She would have her own small room, maybe even air conditioning, a luxury she had never experienced. She would work hard and send money home every month. Her family would move out of the slum into a decent apartment. After 2 years of work, Mary planned to return home with enough savings to start a little clothing shop, a boutique, with the money she saved. It all seemed so possible now. She held a tiny family photo in her hand and smiled. "For you, my loves," she thought. "Mama would do anything to give you a better life." When Mary stepped off the plane in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the heat hit her like an oven blast. Even though it was late evening, the air was dry and scorching. She clutched her small bag and looked around the bustling airport nervously. Everything was new and overwhelming. The language she didn't understand, the flowing robes many people wore, the gleaming sides of the airport floor. Mary took a deep breath, reminding herself that this was the opportunity she had dreamed of. A man holding a sign with her name approached. He was a representative from the agency's Saudi partner. "Mary?" he asked in a brisk voice. She nodded. Without much small talk, he motioned for her to follow. "Come we go," he said in broken English. Mary was led through the immigration lines and then to collect her luggage. The man spoke rapidly on his phone in Arabic as they walked. Mary tried to smile and be polite, but an uneasy feeling stirred in her stomach. Everything was happening so quickly. The man helped her into a large black car, and they sped away from the airport into the night. As they drove, Mary pressed her face to the window again, but this time in awe. Riyadh's skyline rose around her, with towering buildings and bright lights. Neon signs in Arabic script glowed in the dark. Cars zoomed by on wide highways. Mary had never seen a city so large and modern. For a moment, her excitement returned. She was really here, in this foreign land she had only heard about. This is where her new life would begin. After nearly an hour, the car entered an upscale neighborhood. Mary's eyes grew wide at the sight of grand villas behind high walls. The houses were like palaces compared to back home. Multi-story homes with ornate gates and lush gardens peeking out behind tall fences. Finally, the car stopped in front of a cream-colored mansion with an iron gate. Mary's heart fluttered. "Is this where I will work?" She wondered, hardly believing she would live in such a place. The driver honked twice and the gate slowly crept open. The car pulled into a driveway and halted before a large wooden door. The agency man opened Mary's door and gestured for her to get out. "This is the house," he said curtly. Mary stepped out, clutching her worn bag tightly. The front door opened and a middle-aged woman stepped out onto the porch. She wore a black abaya, a long robe and a hair scarf. Her face was tanned, not a hint of a smile. Beside her hovered a tall man in a white thobe, presumably her husband, with an equally cold expression. Mary felt a sudden dart of nerves. She had expected a warmer welcome. The agent quickly introduced them in a few words Mary could barely hear. "This is the maid," he said in Arabic to the couple. Then to Mary he said in English, "This madam." "Yes, sir." "You work for them now." Mary mustered a polite smile and bowed her head respectfully. "Hello madam, hello sir," she said quietly. The madam, a woman named Mrs. Noria, looked Mary up and down with sharp eyes. Mary felt smoke under that gaze. Finally, Mrs. Noria gave a short nod and stepped aside, motioning Mary to enter. The agency man handed Mrs. Noria Mary's passport and papers, which Mary found odd. Those belonged to her, but she assumed this was just formal procedure. He spoke to the couple in Arabic again. Mary caught a few words but not enough to understand. The man of the house, Mr. Salem, grunted and took the documents. Just like that, the agent turned to leave. "Good luck," he muttered to Mary, already walking back to the car. Mary's heart clutched. She suddenly felt very alone. Inside, the house was indeed luxurious. Cool air from the air conditioning brushed Mary's face, a relief after the heat outside. The floors were polished marble, and a grand staircase curved to the second floor. Everything looked shiny and expensive, from the golden-framed paintings on the wall to the huge glass chandelier hanging from the ceiling. But there was no time for Mary to admire the decor. Mrs. Noria immediately started speaking to her in a firm tone, half English, half Arabic, pointing at Mary's feet. Mary didn't understand and looked down, confused.